Good morning.
Good morning. I
You
just
got it.
realized my cup is dented. I don't know how that happened. It's a metal cup.
Who knows?
What?
What can you do?
I don't know. Get a new cup? I don't need any more new cups. I have too many. So let's talk about the elephant really quick, or else I'm going to explode. You talked to Ice Cube yesterday. Like,
Yeah,
you legitimately talked to Ice Cube.
the cube.
The cube.
I was, yeah, I don't think I get starstruck. But you can tell, like, from the beginning of that interview, it took me like 2 or 3 minutes to like get kind of used to it. And when you think about, I was a '90s kid, so I came in like right as NWA was winding down, but like I was telling him offline that like West Side Connection and Bow Down, like that was my jam, like in the '90s. And so like to just be talking, and then Friday, and then all of those things that happen, and then the 21 Jump Street, like everything about that was just so cool, and just to be able to chat with another human being who's an artist and exploring the space was kind of just crazy to just be. And so for those of you who missed it, go check out the YouTube. We have a 30-minute interview with Ice Cube, really talking about like his entry into NFTs, meeting Trevor Jones, Silly Gabe. Our friends at Fan3 have really been helping us with some of these relationships, and it was just so cool to see. Like, and I tend to say awesome and those types of things way too much, but I really am excited about what they are doing with the utility of this. And if they are able to navigate it and do it well, it's going to be trailblazing for when you think about what's going to happen after that. And for me, it's like, okay, a fast growing sport, a bunch of people with a bunch of ETH, like they're going to invest in it. They're going to have fun with it. It's going to represent the culture of this community. And I think that people shouldn't be sleeping on Big Three, because this is going to be something truly unique and exciting.
I I honestly couldn't agree more. Just me being a sports person, like I'm so excited. So excited. Um, I will tell you that I have cried in every single "Are we there yet? Are we done?" I don't know why. I cry at everything, but super pumped. I was speechless. I can't. I think I'm starstruck, and I didn't even talk to him. Um, but
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing that's frustrating is like, is it there's a lot of celebs that are coming here for the cash grabs, and there's a lot that aren't, and it takes a little bit of time to feel them out, and you can tell when they get it right and they don't. But yeah, it was pretty cool, and so I thought it was a good interview. Started just a little bit rocky, but we got going really quickly. So the other big news of yesterday for me was the Board Ape Yacht Club hack. And I think it's silly that some of these, like, Web3 doesn't exist on Instagram.
mm-mm.
And so for me, I think it's an additional attack vector to open up these brands. The more social media, the more they are broadcasting and having to maintain different channels. It just inherently puts them at more risk, because uh, just the security of Twitter, the security of Instagram, Discord, TikTok, all these things. I get that you want to be able to go where people are to make it convenient for them, but predominantly the things that happen in Web3 right now are on Twitter and
Mhm.
are on Discord. And so I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed. And I feel like you know BAYC should be more aware of these types of things and not chase it so much. And I think that's I what do they do? Because over $10 million of apes were compromised. But at some point, the onus has to go back to the collectors to say, okay,
Mhm.
you should know, like, if you see something, and I fell for this once in the past live on stream. So maybe I'm just a little bit hardened by it. Um, but
Let it
like,
go.
don't let FOMO like make like if you see something that's happening, don't chase it. Like
Mhm.
always go back to your verified sources. And then the thing that also sucks is like sometimes your verified sources can get compromised. But if I was Yuga Labs and Board Ape Yacht Club, my Instagram would be like official account for news and posts. Click here, and then that's it. And then that goes back to the official Twitter, and not really have to use that because I don't think they benefit. The risk to opportunity piece of that is just out of sync for me personally.
And I mean, I understand why people want to use Instagram because Instagram is such a huge platform for people who are not here already. Like people who don't know about this space, they're on Instagram. So if they're trying to broaden their horizons and like get more people to the space, I get why they would use Instagram, but at the same time, the people on Instagram are going to take a lot longer to like convert or be interested in the space when they're already so used to Instagram and then coming over to Twitter and then Discord's a whole nother thing. So it's sad.
Yeah, but I mean, my question to you is, you're newer to the space. The cheapest piece of Board Ape Yacht Club right now
Mm-hmm.
is 1 second. The cheapest thing right now is the Kennel Dog, and it's 12.25 ETH, right? So on Instagram, how many new customers they're going to get who experience Board Ape Yacht Club for the first time on Instagram and are going to shill or spend $36,000 to join. The community is already so established that I think that's where it becomes risky. I think for new projects, massive opportunity, massive upside. Now I'm somewhat contradictory in my statements because if we do want NFTs to go mainstream, we shouldn't like things like a $10 million hack. That's all main news is going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do think about kind of how established the brand is and like, are they going to convert someone on Instagram to go spend 138 ETH on the floor Bored Ape or 40 ETH on a floor mutant? Probably not. And like, so that's where, so it's two things, right? As the value of your NFTs goes up, your risk increases exponentially with that, right? So
Yeah.
hackers aren't going to be focusing on the zero point 0.1 mints that are launching today in all likelihood. They're going to focus on the high value targets, and they're going to wait and they're going to exploit that, right? Because all they have to do is do that once and get $10 million. But if they could go get like the entire supply of a drop that's happening today and still not get $10 million. And so I think like it's a lot less risky for a startup project to go grow on Instagram. And then if they do become a blue chip, maybe tone down that Instagram because they're introducing risk to their collectors that trust them by doing that.
No, I completely agree with like the startup projects, getting people from Instagram that way. But like you were saying, you put something that high value on Instagram, one, people are going to be like, how do I buy it? Two, no idea what that is. Then they have so many questions and then they get sucked into this world and they might stay, they might not stay. So, um, anyway, moving on. What else is there going on right now? I mean, we're talking about negative things and let's flip that script. So what are some of the positive things that you're seeing right now just so I can learn more and others can too?
Yeah, I think the big positives right now are like the other big announcement that happened yesterday, and I think they toned it down because of the hack. Was that the other side is launching the land, which is like, okay, here we go again. But the land sale that's going to happen for Board Ape Yacht Club and what's going on here. So I do think that there's a lot of excitement that's going to be coming from this. I think candidly this is probably negative short term for newer collectors because it's going to represent a liquidity suck. I'm talking to people right now that, for instance, I know someone who spent 100 Ethereum yesterday on Ape coin, because the other side is going to be priced solely in Ape. And so when you think about the metaverse that they're creating, everyone is basically, not everyone, but a lot of folks are really, really focusing on what happens from that perspective. The trap here is that the team actually created a website called Something's Brewing, and you actually had to go in and KYC, or know your customer, ahead of time to be able to do this. And a lot of people blame NFTs for know your customer, but this has been around. It really actually started after September 11th and has been growing ever since then. And this year is actually the first year that this is like massive. So if you want to buy and sell tickets on Ticketmaster, it's not scalping anymore. But if you want to sell your tickets on Ticketmaster, you have to provide a form of identification for $200 to sell your tickets. And so people don't understand that, like, as these things happen, the KYC becomes more and more important. And unfortunately, there's pros and cons to this, right? The first part of it is, if we can navigate this well and everyone pays their taxes and does the right things, it legitimizes the category. But then if everything continues in the shadows and those types of things, it continues to set it back. And so there's a lot of people that were upset about KYC because they don't have access to the land sale. They don't have access to a lot of those things. But ultimately, I think it's going to be good. And it's going to be an interesting gauge to see what happens both in the lead up to KYC, or the other side, but it's also going to be interesting to see what happens afterwards. Typically, when these types of projects launch, specifically Bored Ape Yacht Club type projects, they suck the liquidity out of the market. And once the liquidity is gone, it takes, it's a bear market for, in some instances, a week, in some instances, a month, in some instances, 3 months. And so this is going to be the big piece of it. But I also think that for me personally, this is going to be a big shift, where if the other side can create a metaverse that's awesome, everything's going to be different after this. Because if you think about Bieber, Steph Curry, Snoop, all these people that have these, maybe not Snoop because he's pretty tied to Decentraland, but all of these other celebs that are really coming into the space, they're going to want to spend their time in the premier metaverse, right? They're going to be doing these things there. And right now, Bored Ape Yacht Club represents that premier metaverse. And so, I put this tweet out like a week ago, and yes, last night I met with the Habitat guys. But when you think about what that represents, like, I think these metaverse architects are going to be making six figures. Like, if I'm willing to spend 500 grand on fake land, why wouldn't I spend 50 grand on a beautiful building that's on that on that
Oh
fake
yeah,
land?
no, there's no way. I mean, they're gonna make some money. They're gonna make money.
Yeah,
It's
it's crazy. And so, yeah, so like, yeah, and I felt bad because yesterday I was interviewing the this team called Habitats, and they're
Mhm.
launching these buildings, and I encourage everyone to go check that out as well. But we didn't normally in the interview you talk about like the people first and then the journey, kind of like we did with Ice Cube. But what's really interesting about this is say, oh, cool, like Habitat is like these people that want to do buildings in the metaverse. And then you're like, oh no, this is a real architecture firm that has built some of the most beautiful buildings in the entire world, has partnered to do Barclays Center, has partnered with some of the most beautiful skyscrapers in the world, including 111 West, 57th, which is now a penultimate view in every future picture of New York City. So when you look at like this caliber of architecture that is now going to be in the metaverse, it's incredibly insane to think about. And it's all going to be Web3. They've Rob's tuning in. I was playing with it yesterday in their portal with a guest code. And let me pull it up. I can't pull it up on screen right now, but like it's all Metaverse ready. It's all 3D. It's just insane to think about like what they're already doing and like what you're going to be able to have. And these are like truly unique. And this doesn't
Oh
do it
wow.
justice, but it's all 3D. Like you can see all aspects of it. And there's just a bunch of these, and they're all Metaverse compliant and they're all unique. So when you think about like art and what represents art and what does that come from, I think that what's really interesting for me is like this group, this shop is a group of artists that are coming together. So like now we think about the other side, we think about these tier one buildings that aren't going to be like Minecraft blocks like stacked together. We're just in a really cool and unique space.
I looked at I was looking at this earlier for habitats, and I think uh, I don't know, maybe it's the way that I grew up, but this is like the future to me. Like this is everything that everyone ever talked about. Like, oh, we're going to be living in like the Jetsons, right? Where everything's futuristic and everything is beautiful, and this is that. And I'm very anxious to see like how far we're going to take it, just so like my childhood dreams of living in a digital world is like ready ready player one, exactly. um I'm stoked. I'm super pumped. um let's So we talked about futuristic buildings. um More positive things. What are some of the hidden gems or some of the like diamonds in the rough that you're seeing right now or you want to see more of? You're on mute.
Yeah, that's that's a good question. I've been watching this project for a long time. I'm still watching the Hashmasks like really closely. Um, it's point 0.4. At its all-time high, it was trading much higher than this. There's a lot of them, and they haven't done anything with the project. But this is one of like the key historic projects of our time, like or of our time of the last generation. So like I'm watching Hashmasks pretty closely. I'm still watching some one of one artists. I'm trying to see what other stuff. I've got like a million tabs open. I'm looking at Max Payne still, the X copy drop. If that gets down to like 0.75, I think like I'd pick one of those up. Yeah, it's just a couple gems that I think are starting to lower in price that are going to be good bets to look at long term.
Are you looking at more like metaverse gaming type pieces? Not gaming, I don't think that's the correct term, but like more Bored Ape, more Moonbirds, or are you looking at more like one-on-one pieces, or what's your healthy balance right now?
It's um it's interesting, like because so for me, it's two things. Like one, I'm rebalancing a little bit back into art, just because there was a lot of pieces that I've wanted for a long time that I wasn't able to afford. And so because I sold my Clone X, I'm now able to kind of go back and afford some of them. So that's my current strategy. But Mike, and I think we should do maybe tonight for Tech Tuesday if we all get together, is really like deep dive into the metaverses, because I do think that there's still going to be a lot of potential for either buying plots of land or buying pieces in the metaverse. So those are kind of my big entry points. I think if I was a new collector, I'd probably keep my money on the sideline and wait and try to get on as many whitelists as possible, and then pick the one that I think is going to be the next Moonbirds. Pick the one that I think is going to be the next big project, because like those are the types of projects that can go from 1 ETH to 30 ETH. But I do think if we were, like for instance, today, the drops today there's a few interesting ones, right? But the drops today they aren't that that exciting, right? I don't think that like the drops have that 1000x potential, except for maybe Crazilla. Maybe, I don't know. It's cute and it's interesting, but it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens. And so like that's the thing is I think a lot of people get into the space and they play the game daily. And that if you know, for instance, if you bought a Crazilla and you got lucky, and let's say this goes from, I don't even know what the price is today, but let's say it gets the momentum and you buy two or three of them for 0.07. So your total cost basis is like 0.23. And let's say they go to 0.14. If you could turn zero point 0.2 into 0.5, right? And then sell, and now you have 0.45 after fees or whatever. And then tomorrow there's another big drop and you buy four of them. And then now you have one ETH. Now with one ETH, your trajectory starts changing. Now you start moving on up, trying to think about those things. So once again, not financial advice, but I think that the really really good projects are starting to space out a little bit more. So that gives people time to play in the space. And I think when Mike, Rob, John, and I need to talk, but we have talked about it. We just need to do it. Like it'd be fun to like fund your wallet and have you kind of learn. And hopefully not get completely rugged, but try and play the game where or do it, Pio and All Nick and Sass did. That would be a lot of fun where we all start with like 0.5 ETH or 1 ETH, and we have like a daily contest where we're tracking the gains and losses and see how people start performing. I think that would be really fun, and pull in Ashley as well to see, and Lauren and Mac if they're interested, and see like how people can perform. I think that'd be the best way for newer collectors to kind of get onboarded. But if people are interested in the drops, like we do the daily drop announcement on the website, in our private Discord. There's parts of it that are public. And also, like, I think I would love for people to join our Discord, and like we have a suggestions channel. And so for our daily content, like come in today, give us suggestions of what you want us to talk about tomorrow. We're going to talk a few minutes every day about alpha, but like come in and tell us what you want us to chat on, tell us what you want us to research, so we have time to go and do research on it and bring it up tomorrow, the next day, etc. And make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Instagram.
Maybe not.
Too.
Some Instagram.
No, Instagram's still good. Because
Instagram for events.
Yeah, we're really careful with the links.
Yes. But upcoming events, NYC, is that we're going to be able to see some people, meet some folks?
Yeah, I mean, NFT NYC is coming quick. Some of us are going to be out at VCon. If anyone's going to be at VCon, let us know. We are going to be covering VCon from a press perspective, which I'm really thankful for. The opportunity from Gary V's team, Lara, Maha, Avery, that they're willing to give us the opportunity. We're also starting to think about doing more regional meetups. I think, really quickly, Rob, if he's still watching, I want to get with Cody and see if we can do something at Martin House Brewing for a Texas meetup, do an Austin meetup soon. I also think that there's going to be some bigger events that people aren't really talking about. But if anyone has any events that we haven't talked about, you can go to nftculture.com/events and let us know what events are there we need to think about. Permissionless is coming up. I won't be at that, but it's in Palm Beach. That's going to be a big one, launching by Bankless. We will be throwing a party at NFT NYC. And I also just briefly want to give a shout out to Ninja Alerts, who have given us some alpha on the front page where we can start tracking, the most minted projects over the 6 hours, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 12 hours. We can see what projects are selling. And then you can also go to Ninja Alerts. And Tio is a good friend of mine. So shout out to Ninja Alerts as well. They're not paying us for that. It's just to provide value. So it's not not an ad. But just wanted to give them a little shout out as well.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm going to stop talking. Let everyone get back to their day, and we will see everyone tomorrow. So,
all right, everyone.
Bye, guys.